can cost a lot of money when you self-publish your first novel, and it can also cost a little. It really just depends what you decide your top priorities are in terms of what you want to spend money on. So if you clicked on this video to find out how much I spent to self-publish my first novel, Connecting Flights, here is the number here on the screen. That's the total. So if you came here for that, you can feel free to click away. But if you want to know the actual breakdown on what I spent my money on and what I felt was worth it and the categories that you might anticipate spending your money on when the day comes that you are self-publishing your novel, this is the video for you. So when it comes to costs for self-publishing a book, I broke it down into 3 categories. The first category is editing, pretty self-explanatory, things like beta readers and editors. Second category is artsy things, so while not related to the story itself, this is related to things like cover design or formatting your book. And the third category that I spent money on, or didn't, depending, is marketing strategies. I know everyone says this, but I can't believe that I'm actually on the other side of it, making a video about my own book. So I hope the same will happen for you as well. Okay, that is a couch. Okay, so first category is editing. Beta readers, I hired 3 paid beta readers off of Fiverr. I couldn't find my old receipts. I got kicked out of my Fiverr account. I'm not sure why, but essentially it was around $60 per beta reader if I averaged it out. So that ended up being $180. Copy edits round 1. If you watch my last video on developmental edits, you'll know that I regret getting these copy edits, and I go more in detail in that video. But copy edits round 1, I spent $545.22. And again, this is in US dollars. Developmental edits, I spent a grand total of $1,350 on developmental edits. Copy edits round 2, which I do not regret, I ended up spending $720. And for a proofreader, I ended up spending $282. So total in editing, I did not total it yet because I was scared. Quite a bit of money I chose to spend on editing. This brings us to our second category, which is artsy things. So for the first cover, you might be thinking, what, but you only wrote 1 book. Yeah, I only wrote 1 book, but I bought the cover way ahead of time, thinking that I was writing a romance. So for the first cover, I spent $50 for a pre-made cover. I loved this cover. I thought it was going to be the final cover, but as I went through edits, the story changed, and I realized this cover didn't really fit the story at all. So I landed on this other pre-made cover, which was a little bit more expensive, but it was $80 US, which is really not bad for a cover. I didn't want to spend the money on hiring a custom cover designer, which can be anywhere from like $150 to $700. I had to hire a designer for the back cover because I made a pre-made cover. The system, like the user interface of the website I used, it was bookcoverzone.com, was not very user-friendly in terms of getting the stuff on the back cover of the paperback. And I was getting so frustrated. I just wanted my book to be out there in the world, so that I went to Fiverr and I hired a designer to figure out the back cover for me. And that cost $182. And then formatting costs. So, you know how when you pick up a book and it has all the margins lined and the font looks nice and the chapter heading looks nice? Well, I opted to pay for Vellum, so that's a software which cost me $281, but that is a lifetime license. So once I have it and I format books in the future, I don't have to pay anything again. So that did cost me $281, but the next book I'm going to say it's free because the labor itself, I did it. Took probably maybe around an hour tops. And that brings us to our final category, which is marketing. So I spent the least amount of money on marketing actually, but I spent the most amount of time on marketing. So I have a video that looks at marketing strategies, and I highly, highly recommend that if you know you are self-publishing a book, if you know you are writing a book, if you know that's your end goal, do not wait until the book is out to start marketing it. Start now. Start just by telling your friends and your family, and then start by posting online. So I used Instagram to market my book. I used LinkedIn to market my book. I used YouTube to market my book. And when I say marketing, it really just comes down to anytime I mention the book, even in this video, like this video is about how much it costs to self-publish a book, but in this video, you'll notice at the intro, I said, this is how much I spent to self-publish my first book, Connecting Flights. That's a free advertisement. I can hope that some of you might be like, oh my God, she spent a lot of money on this book. What the heck is the final product? And just out of curiosity, you might click and you might buy that book, because I know I have definitely done that on these videos before. ISBNs. So I am very lucky to be living in Canada at the time that I published this book. So we get ISBNs for free. If you live in the States, you have to pay a ridiculous fee for every single ISBN you get, or you have to buy them in bulk. I know it's not really marketing, but it is a required book. Like if you're going to self-publish your book, you do need an ISBN. Some vendors might give you free ones, but Hildy, we are bringing back the dog. Yeah. So some vendors might give you free ISBNs. But if you want to get your book in libraries or in bookstores in the future, it is better just to get your own ISBN. So depending what country you are in, the ISBNs may or may not have a fee connected to them. I would say the one marketing cost I did use financially was I signed up for BookFunnel because I really wanted to have an advanced reader campaign. And the crazy thing is I thought like that's where all my efforts should be directed, is to this advanced readers campaign. That's when you give someone your book for free, and then in exchange they give you a review. So I had a very small but mighty team of book reviewers that were willing to read my book for free, post their review on social media or on Amazon. But I think the time spent on designing the quote unquote email campaigns and trying to find these advanced reader copies, I'm not sure if I'll do this with the next book. Honestly, I'm seeing way more success in terms of marketing just on social media and mentioning my book to friends and family. And the most fun I had was having a launch party where I got a fancy cake and we celebrated, and I tried to make a card game, which was not a success. So that brings us to a grand total of, well, having a puppy. So how much I spent on my first book. Granted, this was over a good 3 years, but this hurts my heart a little. $3,719. I would have done it totally different if I do it again. So good thing book 2 is the opportunity for that. And you do not need to spend this much at all. You could spend way more, you could spend way less. And I want to leave you on what you should think about when you're determining your self-publishing budget. So the first question I want you to ask yourself is, what do you actually need when it comes to self-publishing? For example, you know you need a book cover, but do you need a custom illustrated one? Do you want to learn how to design a book cover? Is that something that is interesting to you? Or would you rather just hire someone, or would you rather just buy a pre-made and hope it fits your story and save some money and save some time? Clearly I'm biased. On the topic of what do you need, you know your book needs to be formatted. You can't just upload a crappy Word doc. I mean, you can, but it won't be received well. So again, do you want to spend the time to do it yourself? Do you want to spend the money to hire someone? What is most important to you? Is it a skill that you're interested in learning and then maybe outsourcing in the future? I know some authors will learn how to format their own book on Vellum, and then in the future they'll offer like a discounted rate for other authors that don't want to spend the time formatting. And technically you could edit your book yourself, but do you have the budget, and do you want to spend extra money on an editor? That is totally up to you. Do you trust your story? Do you want more eyes on your story? What is it that is most important? Or what type of editor do you want to spend time on? I know some people may be very comfortable doing their copy edits, but they may want someone to do a first glance at their developmental edits. So as you get closer and closer to self-publishing your first book, I really, really want you to think about your budget, because your financial health is so important as you pursue your author career. So how much in total are you willing to spend on your first book? In general, what I would recommend if you are a full-time working professional like myself is I would recommend $1,000 per book. Clearly, I went way above that, but I made a bunch of mistakes. If you are working part-time and you're just struggling to pay the bills, maybe $500 per book, maybe $200 per book. Like, there are ways to get scrappy. Today, I'm playing with this dog while in a squat, trying to balance myself. Anyways, okay. I'm just going to read the rest of this out and we'll conclude on that. So today I want you to decide on what is your budget for your first book, decide on that number, and then use that number to guide your decisions. And a bonus tip I have from you is to not only consider your financial budget, but consider your time budget as well. It's entirely possible to learn how to format your novel on Microsoft Word, but it might take you 8 hours or 100 versus hiring someone or paying for a software like Vellum could save you all the time in the long run, giving you more time to write. If you don't finish writing the book, you won't be able to publish the book. And while it is fun and while it is addicting to watch videos like this one and to imagine yourself as an author, because that is a true reality that can come possible for you, you also need to write or the book will not be finished. You can't get that time back. So happy writing, happy publishing. I hope you found this video helpful. Let me know how much you plan on spending when you self-publish a book, your first book, your second one, your third one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.